or drhi.com.
Revolutionizing the way people treat people in business. The Experience Pros, America's home for positive business talk.
Welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Eric Kramer here with you. Angel is out in San Diego speaking to the Small Business Expo, Bill Walsh's expos that are going on all around the country. Angel has my goodness, developed quite a speaking tour. She has been in Denver and Phoenix and Chicago and LA, now in San Diego, and she'll wrap that thing up with a trip down to Austin in a couple of weeks. But you've got me, and I'm grateful for you tuning in to this, the home of positive business talk. Christina Desmarais wrote an article that is interesting, and I thought I'd pick it up and kind of share it with you because the headline caught my attention. Science says the most successful children have parents who do these 9 things. Now, think about that for a minute. We all want our kids to be successful, right? But in many cases, we want them to be successful on their own. They're in charge of their success, or so we thought. But science may have something else to say about that altogether. So let's take a peek at some of the things that Christina Desmarais says, that science says, that will help our kids be successful. But these are things that parents do. So what can I do to make sure my kids succeed in life? Well, researchers say, number one, don't tell them that they can be anything they want. Now think about this for a minute. I grew up thinking I could be anything I want. I remember my parents telling me that, the American dream, you could be anything you want. But according to a survey of 400 teenagers conducted by a market research agency, CNR Research, young Americans aren't interested in doing the work that they'll need to be done in the years to come. Instead, they aspire to be musicians and athletes or video game designers, even though these kind of jobs comprise only about 1% of American occupations. In reality, jobs in healthcare or construction trades will be golden in the future decades. Why not steer them into well-paying professions in which there's going to be a huge shortage of workers? We saw that whole thing with STEM. 10 years ago, STEM, we're in the shortage of kids going into the science, technology, engineering, and math trades. And so we made it a big push. And now we have schools dedicated to STEM. It can also happen in this way as well. What's another thing that we can do as parents in order to help my kid or our kids succeed? Eat dinner as a family. According to a nonprofit organization operating out of Harvard University, kids who eat with their families roughly 5 days a week will exhibit lower levels of substance abuse, teenage pregnancy, obesity, and depression. They also have higher grade point averages, better vocabularies, and more self-esteem. Number 3, enforce no screen time. Researchers have found that the brains of little kids can permanently be altered when they spend too much time using their tablets and smartphones. And this is a big issue, folks, because I don't know about you, but my kid's on the phone all the time, and he's 25. You probably have the same issues. Specifically, development of certain abilities is impeded, and including focus, attention, vocabulary, and social skills. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics says children younger than 18 months should have no screen time at all other than maybe video chatting. For kids ages 2 to 5, it recommends limiting screen time to 1 hour a day. For older kids, it's a matter of making sure the media doesn't take the place of adequate sleep, exercise, or social interaction. I think that's important. Parents should make dinner table, the car, and bedrooms media-free zones. I think that's probably a little stretch. I don't think it's going to happen that way. Dinner table, I understand. The car, I could probably understand. Maybe, nowadays kids entertain themselves in the back seats with their either the movies in the back seats of the car or their phones. Number 4, work outside the home. There are certainly familial benefits to having a stay-at-home mom, but researchers at Harvard Business School have found that when moms work outside the home, their daughters are more likely to be employed themselves hold supervisory roles, and make more money than peers whose mothers did not have careers. This is an interesting one. In a 2015 TED Talk, Julie Lycott-Hames, author of How to Raise an Adult and the former dean of freshmen at Stanford University, cites the Harvard Grant study, which found that participants who achieved greatest professional success did chores as a child. So make them work. Give them a chore to do. Give them a task. Delay gratification. You've probably heard this one. The classic marshmallow experiment of 1972, involving placing a marshmallow in front of a young child with the promise of a second marshmallow if he or she could refrain from eating that little marshmallow for 15 minutes while the researcher stepped out of the room. Follow-up studies over the next 40 years found that the children who were able to resist the temptation to eat the marshmallow grew up to be people who, with better social skills, higher test scores, and lower incidence of substance abuse. They also turned out to be less obese and be better able to deal with stress. To help kids build this skill, train them to have habits that must be accomplished every day, even when they don't feel like doing them. Top performers in the field, athletes, musicians, CEOs, artists, all more consistent than their peers about delaying their gratification. What is it our friend in radio, Dave Ramsey, says? If you want to live like no one else, you got to live like no one else. That means delay your gratification, earn your station in life. The next one is this. You want your kids to thrive. Science says parents should read to them. Now, this may be one of those things that's so simple as to be profound, but here it is. Researchers at the New York University School of Medicine have found that babies whose parents read to them have better language, literacy, and early reading skills 4 years earlier. So, it starts early, but they can move in really quickly. And this is an interesting one. Encourage your children to travel. The Student and Youth Travel Association surveyed 1,432 U.S. Teachers who credit international travel in particular with affecting students in a myriad of good ways. Their desire to travel more, their increased willingness to know, learn, and explore more, increased tolerance of all other cultures and ethnicities, willingness to try different foods, intellectual curiosity, sensitivity, outgoing, self-expression. We took our kids literally around the world as I was a professional illusionist, and I'll never regret it. My kids know more about world geography than 10 adults stacked on end. And they're really good men as well. All right, gang, we're going to take a quick break for the top of the hour news. Hour number 2 of Positive Business Talk is next. This is the Experience Pros Radio Network.
The Experience Pros, revolutionizing the way people treat people in business.